That'll be 2 for Movie Stubs.
Hey guys, and welcome to the latest episode of Movie Stubs. We talk about the biggest movies with the biggest stars, and the biggest superheroes, and the greatest explosions. We're all about the art of cinema.
We love cinema. We love it so much!
You know what everyone's talking about today, Spencer?
Oh, I think I do, Chris.
Oh yeah, it's Halloween.
Oh, yeah!
Back in theaters.
For the 50th time.
Back and better than ever.
I like the part where Michael Myers killed someone.
Well, you'll have to be more specific than that.
What?
After this, I can't wait till next summer, where we'll see Halloween 12, the return of Michael Myers again. And then the year after that, we'll have Halloween Friday the 13th. As long as they keep making money, we'll see more of them. It'll never end. Just keep giving money to the movies that remind you of old movies, or old cartoons, or old comic books, because that's where you belong, in the seat, in the theater, showing you things that you remember.
Wait, in order to be a corporate sellout, don't you need to get paid?
We're here to investigate a patient that killed 3 innocent teenagers on a Halloween in 1978. He was shot by his own psychiatrist and taken into custody that night, and has spent the last 40 years in captivity.
So we just got back from seeing Halloween 2018, which is the 11th Halloween film.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I was actually kind of surprised by this film because on the internet, it's been getting really good ratings by critics.
Yeah.
And I would argue to say that this is one of the best sequels to any horror film. The plot of this film, it's so simple, but it just makes sense for it to be the natural continuation of the story. It didn't feel like a Hollywood script. It felt like that, Laurie Strode, which is the girl who's from the original Halloween, who was attacked by Michael Myers, grows up with essentially a vengeance, that she becomes a monster herself, and just wants to kill Michael, and she wants to get her revenge, and that's basically the plot, and that's all it had to be, and I love it for that. It was so good.
Interesting. So for the first 30-40 minutes, I actually wasn't really enjoying the movie. And I wonder if that's because I just rewatched the first one, and it was fresh in my mind. But I thought it was really struggling to connect itself to the story of the first movie. So they portray Laurie as being traumatized. Her house has become a fortress.
Yeah, she's in survival mode. Like, she's one of those people that, like, comes back from the war and never left the war. Like, PTSD, essentially, yeah.
I thought that was a little bit of a stretch, but, like, that's not a big problem to me. What was more of a problem was when things happened that didn't seem so consistent. For example, so when they show Michael being transferred from their institution to somewhere else, she's there in a car with a gun, watching them drive out of the institution.
Yes.
It seemed to me, she's gonna follow the car and make sure that he doesn't get out. But that doesn't happen. She instead goes to meet her family. Isn't she so terribly concerned about this that she would be right there if anything bad happened? Like, just because that was such a core part of her character, I thought that was odd.
There are some inconsistencies with the plot and such about, like, what characters are going to be doing what.
The way that they set up the story and put it in motion also seemed very forced to me.
That entire sequence, the opening sequence, I hated because it didn't make any sense at all. Because there are these 2 reporters, and they come in and then they want to do research on Michael Myers. And it's like the setup scene. Like, you're just trying to see, like, who Michael Myers is and all that. But there's nothing to that. He comes in and he's like, "Here, Michael, remember the mask?" And then the mask seems to, like, be emitting this evil presence that all of the other people are reacting to. Like, you see the insane asylum people are like, "Ah!" And "Oh my God," and the dog is barking and everything. But Michael just stands there. It's like, why is everyone else going crazy?
Right.
And because Michael Myers has always kind of had, like, that supernatural kind of sense to him.
Yeah.
But in this one, it didn't feel like that they were really trying to go for that. They were just kind of going for, like, flatline, like, this is just the real life and such. And it just didn't really add anything to the film. The way that I would have made this film is I would have just had it be a connection between Laurie and her daughter, and them trying to reconnect and rebond, and her just getting her revenge on Michael. Because we're jumping around, like, I think it's like around 3 different plots where you have the sheriff, you have Laurie, you have Laurie's daughter and her family, and those 2 reporters. And they kind of just jumps around all over the place. But whenever Laurie came on, that was fascinating to me because she was dealing with this horrible trauma of being with this, like, with this serial killer and such, and it has affected her life so much. I was so interested to see, like, when she was actually going to finally see Michael again. And then when she finally sees Michael, the film doesn't make it a big revealing moment. You know, like a final confrontation. It was just kind of like, oh, look, there's Michael. She shoots him in the shoulder, and he keeps on walking. You know, there's not this big moment where it's like, oh, it's Michael.
Yeah, in Halloween 7, they actually did that well, where she sees him again, and like she slams this door, and then she looks through the door, and they have a cool moment there. But they didn't do that, anything like that in this, which is a little disappointing. Kind of getting into spoiler territory, so if you want to skip spoilers, skip ahead to this time code. You are warned. So the doctor, who becomes a character, who's standing there.
He's the new Dr. Loomis, essentially.
Right. He does all this weird stuff in one scene that is not foreshadowed at all.
We are never given a setup as to whether this doctor might be slightly insane or like he's a little bit crooked or anything like that. And it's fine if you want to do a twist with it, but the way they did it was so comical because the Laurie Strode's granddaughter is in the back of the cop car, and they hit Michael, and then she's like, oh, thank God they got him finally. And then you see the Dr. Loomis character stab the cop in the neck, cop dies, and then you're like, what's going on? And then it was so comical when he jumps up and he's wearing Michael's mask for some reason, and then he drags Michael's body, throws him in the car, and then takes off the mask. So what was the point of wearing the mask for like 10 seconds?
So if he's been studying Michael Myers, I guess he could develop a fascination, and as a psychiatrist or a doctor or whatever, maybe he's like, oh, there's something really special about this guy. If we can test him in a real-world scenario, we can figure out how to harness this power of his, like some crap like that. Like, I mean, it sounds dumb as I'm saying it, but it would have made more sense than what they did because it came out of nowhere. And the thing is, they had the key opportunity to actually introduce that. In that first scene where they're showing the reporters are showing the mask to Michael, he's just standing there like, this is normal. You know, as all the inmates are howling and the reporter's basically yelling at Michael, trying to get a reaction out of him. You could have had the doctor, you know, with wide eyes, like a bloodlust in his eye, like really wanting to see what happens. You know, show us that he's really interested in Michael's reaction. He's just standing there like, no, it's okay. You know, keep inciting all of our inmates who have all probably killed people.
Yeah, like, wouldn't you think that that's causing trauma to all of the inmates? It's like, oh, no, it's fine. They're all fucked up anyways.
Right.
It's just weird.
Right. It was odd that they missed that opportunity, and I don't think that would have given anything away, like just showing him to being extremely interested in what was happening right there, but he wasn't, which was weird.
Another thing that didn't lead anywhere, which I thought would have actually been fascinating if they did it right, was they kept on entertaining this notion that Michael can talk, but he chooses not to.
Yeah.
But he might talk to you, Laurie. So I was just kind of waiting because there's 2 ways that they could have done that. So you could have done it in a way where he's actually being vocal and he's talking and such to Laurie about something. Or one of the things that I think would have been a lot more fascinating and a lot more just like punchy is if... Have you seen Lost in Translation?
Yeah.
Okay. So when Tom Hanks goes up to Scarlett Johansson at the end of the film, you see him go up to her ear and say something into it. And you don't really know like what he's saying, you just, because they cut out the audio for that. And so it would be fascinating to actually, you know, like that could have left it like open-ended, like you never know like what they could have said, but they never did anything with it.
So I will say what this film got right was how it presented Michael Myers. Once he starts killing people, the kills are fun, they're pretty varied, the effects are pretty good. I only noticed a couple that were obviously like CG, like he punches the knife through the girl's throat or whatever. It's like obviously CG. But a lot of them actually seem like practical effects, which is great. They have a lot of like long shots of him like going through places. I'm a big fan of that.
I really found that effective. The one shot of when he goes into 2 different houses to kill 2 different people. And yeah, I would agree with that. It feels like that Michael was actually this unstoppable force.
Right, which is what he should be. So John Carpenter said what inspired him to make Michael as a character was seeing, he was like a 6-year-old kid who was extremely sociopathic. The black eyes of the kid were like the devil was inside him. He was totally soulless, and like he felt this sensation of evil from the kid. Someone like Michael that Carpenter's getting at is like at the very far extreme of someone's brain that just does not work like everyone else, who doesn't feel remorse, doesn't feel the variety of things we feel. And that's communicated sometimes when Michael kills somebody and then he's like looking at them like they're just, he's has a vague curiosity, but he feels nothing. So I think it did a very good job handling who Michael is and how he's portrayed. He's brutal, he's unstoppable, and he's remorseless.
I was getting kind of tired whenever we kept cutting back to like the teenagers or anything else that was going on, because it was more fascinating just to stick with Laurie and just see her just trying to deal with this horrible tragedy and just trying to prepare to kill Michael and such.
Well, yeah, but we gotta have other people to kill. Teenagers are great for killing. It's like that guy with the spike on the fence through his chin. That was cool.
No, it was. I don't think that a lot of people do anything creatively with horror films anymore because they're just simple to make. You know, just like blood gore fest.
They were very cheap to make,
yes.
And when they made a lot of money at the box office, like, well, turn them out. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Because I think the budget for the first Halloween was like $300,000, and that was like '78. You know, I think so. It was a long, it was worth a little more then, but still, that's a very low budget, and it made like $70 million. So that sort of return is an obvious investment to make.
Mm-hmm. But in this film, it actually felt like that someone gave a crap. Someone actually cared about Michael's character. They cared about Laurie Strode. They wanted to know what was going to happen with the characters. So it didn't feel like that it was just a typical Hollywood sequel. It actually felt like that there was someone there that cared.
Yeah. I wonder if that was aided by the fact that so many of the other sequels sucked, that they felt like they couldn't just make another sucky one because everyone expects that at this point.
Yeah.
So they were thinking, well, maybe we have to actually try this time and make something that's kind of decent.
Yeah, well, yeah, because, you have the remakes with Rob Zombie, and all of these remakes that are coming out, they're just not that good. They're not great because they're just like, oh, just slap the name on it and it'll make money for us.
Yeah, I could not care less about remaking almost anything.
Yeah, and so it's refreshing to finally see a horror film come out where there's actually care put into it. And I hope that it sets a domino effect down the line for people who actually want to make them. Because by no stretch of the imagination is this film amazing, but I would say that it's fun to watch and I enjoyed myself a lot. And if you wanted to see a decent little fun horror film and you don't even need to know Michael Myers for Halloween.
Yeah. I don't think it requires that you've seen the first one, which is nice.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get into it for the first 30, 40 minutes. But after that, once the killing starts, it's pretty fun. It was pretty fun. And the music's pretty good too. It doesn't overuse the theme song, which I was a little worried about.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of horror sequels do, is that they will abuse what made the original so great. Saw, like, what made Saw good? It was the torture porn. Yeah, the torture porn! Put the torture porn in there! Make it 80% of the film!
Right.
Or Freddy Krueger or Jason, just, you kind of start losing the meat of it, and then you just kind of have, like, the thin surface of, like, just, like, good frosting, and that's it.
If you're looking for a decent horror movie to go watch, I don't think you go wrong with this one.
I would recommend this film as well. I think that it is the best horror film currently out in terms of a sequel. And, it's not the best of the best. It's not amazing. It's not wow your socks off. But it's so refreshing to finally see someone take the source material of a franchise like this and make a sequel that's actually decent and actually has some care put into it.
Yeah, I might go so far to say it's the best Halloween sequel. The 7th one is up there too, but most of them are really bad. If you're going to watch them Halloweens, I would watch 1 and then 11 or 1, 2, and 7. Those are the two decent ways to watch it. This is pretty fun.
Yeah, good. Make sure to ask them about the money.
Yes, Disney? Yes, hi, this is Chris from Movie Stubs. Yeah, we were just thinking about that deal we discussed, how we were gonna pitch your products on the internet and you'd pay us a lot of money. So where are we standing with that right now? Uh-huh. Yes, dollars would be good, yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay. Thanks for your time.
What did Disney say?
They said they only pay for reviews by people who have over at least 80% of the screen filled with Disney merchandise. I know, we're only at about, I think, 1% right now, so we've got a lot of work to do.
We got Tangled and Frozen and John Carter.
Right, but it's not percentage of...
We have the Spider's Life.
But it's not percentage of films on the screen. It's percentage of screen real estate.
I thought you had more toys than this. What kind of a fan are you?